got a brand new Idris Elba movie coming to Netflix this week, and it's called The Concrete Cowboy. So it must be amazing, correct? What's going on, buddy? My name is Zach, I am the Wolf of Geek Street, and I love talking movies, and that's why I started this channel. So if you guys are new here, hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below. Let me know your guys' full thoughts. Are you guys excited for The Concrete Cowboy? Are you not? This is an interesting movie. It's an independent film that was released at TIFF and discussed through many different various areas, and now it is finally coming out on Netflix April 2nd. And a teenager who discovers the world of urban horseback riding when he moves in with his estranged father in North Philadelphia. It's directed by Ricky Staub and also written by him and Dan Walser. There's the likes of Idris Elba, Kayla McLaughlin, Lorraine Toussaint, and Jharrel Jerome. I have been kind of looking forward to this one. Out of all the festival circuits last year, this is the one that I kept missing, but I was so intrigued to see it because a lot of the reason is because Caleb is a big part of Stranger Things. I really like him in those, but this seemed to have been like really much his first big starring role. The same thing is Idris Elba is playing his father, so that just absolutely gets me enamored right then and there. And what I can say about The Concrete Cowboy is it's a decent film. I think there are great elements to this movie, and there's some somewhat so-so moments. What it really comes down to, and the thing that I can really much say about this movie, is how much I appreciate the culture that they touched in on, especially in North Philadelphia. I've never known about the urban horseback riders or even the stuff that happens on Fletcher Street, and I think this is some of the most intriguing things that are absolutely in this film, is opening up this new area of the world, this new area of the United States that, again, I never have been to, never experienced, never even heard about. But now I've experienced somewhat of it, especially through a film, and it's kind of opened my eyes to a whole new culture. You know what Ricky Staub was able to do with this film was very much bring about this tone of a Western to modern culture inside The Concrete Cowboy. Whether it's through the score, the editing, through the story and its pacing, telling, all that sorts of elements really bring about that great Western feeling that he brings in here, even though it's taking place on the streets of North Philadelphia, and there are a lot of crime and gang-related elements in this movie that show both, again, that modern world type era and also the Western world that the Fletcher Street and North Philadelphians are trying to keep intact. Again, opening that idea to the United States is really eye-opening, to say the least. Plus, adding in here, there is some amazing cinematography throughout this entire film that really much impressed the hell out of me. Of course, diving into the performances, everyone is stellar. Idris Elba takes it and runs with it. Lorraine Toussaint as Nessie, incredible. McLaughlin from, of course, Stranger Things brings in his first big starring role for a movie, and he runs with it. I mean, this guy, I don't think he's been able to give the acting chops that we've wanted to see from him in Stranger Things, but he is unrecognizable in here, not just because he grew up in here. There's one scene in particular where they're all sitting around a campfire and just telling stories and talking. And that in particular moment made me feel like I was actually there, sitting around the campfire with them, hearing their stories, hearing all the details and the depth for everything going about it, and it was just beautiful. Like I said, this film is not perfect, and I feel and found a lot of elements of this, even though it had great cinematography, great performances, a great eye-opening thing to this culture, I had a lot of issues when it came down to the actual story structure of it all. It comes down to that, I wish they would have spent more time with the father and son story, because that was easily the strongest aspect of this entire movie, and they don't spend that much time with each other, surprisingly. And when it does that, it's like, oh, this is great! But I wanted more of it, and I felt a little bit like the film was lacking it, and it kind of sucks because that's what I was really looking forward to when it came about in this entire film. And especially, the film is a little bit dragged out. When it gets down to the third act, I was sitting there just waiting for it to end, and the pacing really came to a halt. Again, not a terrible movie. It's a decent, good one. That's the truth. And I think it is worth watching to get an eye-opening experience to this new culture, and especially even the performances and Staub's directing. But I do feel like as a film, this movie could have had a way better story structure, and again, that third act, I feel like, kind of just goes in a direction that, again, I didn't think was needed. It feels like two different films were placed inside this story in this location, and I feel like one of them was the great one and the other one was the okay one, and I would have rather just gone with the great one, which is the father-son story that I was really much looking forward to here. Concrete Cowboy is not a terrible movie. It is a decent little one that has great moments to it and great technical aspects to it. Watch it, open your eyes to a brand new thing in the United States, but for me, I did have issues with the story structure and in general, just some of the stuff within the third act. So with all that said, I'm going to give the Concrete Cowboy a B. Thank you guys again so much for clicking on this. You guys are seriously all the best. Cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, because this is a very interesting one, and I'm curious if you guys disagree with me or if you agree with me. So comment down below. Head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early, and of course, it's a big thing to you and a big thing in my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So of course, until next time, stay classy.